All right, so today I'm with Andrew Baker.
Hello.
He's a fellow filmmaker out of. Are you in Chicago still?
I'm in Chicago, yes.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and we have actually never met in real life, right?
Nope. First time.
First time.
Yes.
And I sent an email to uh, the best filmmaker group I've ever encountered. And I was like, yo, who wants to listen to some commentaries, some DVD commentaries, and then take notes and then talk about it? And Andrew was, and do you go by Andrew or what do you
Yeah.
prefer? Okay.
Yeah, I go by Andrew.
All right, cool. And Andrew was one of the first people to respond, and he was like, yo, let's do Step Brothers. And I was like, fucking brilliant.
Yes. My all-time favorite DVD commentary.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we don't want
Not
to, no spoilers, but
yeah,
like definitely the most
the
detailed,
most entertaining.
complex,
Yes.
like they just tried to make it a show and it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
not my favorite because of the what I've learned from it,
Yeah.
but for other reasons.
That's awesome, man. So we'll definitely do a deep dive into that commentary here shortly. But before we get into that, I want to hear a little bit about Andrew Baker, man. Give us your story, man. What's going on with Andrew?
What's going on with me? Okay, well, I'm from Michigan.
Yeah.
Uh, I went to school there and started working for a company that did like wedding videos and corporate video, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then I decided I needed a change of scenery, so I just packed up and moved to Chicago, and I've been here. I came here to do the whole Second City thing. I took classes there, did the whole writing program, the improv program, and honestly kind of put filmmaking on the back burner a little bit while I was doing that,
Hmm.
because I was getting more into like doing theater and stuff. And then after that, I was like, well, I need to get back into these skills that I honed for a few years here and are more what I really want to be doing. So, yeah, the past few years I've been getting back on track with filmmaking. I do a bunch of different stuff. I still do a lot of like freelance corporate type stuff, like just commercial stuff, seminars, boring stuff like that. But then uh, creative stuff like short films. I just DP'd a web series last year, and I edited a short film that's being submitted to some festivals. So I do all kinds of stuff. I was
Nice.
producing a talk show that ended up not happening because it was we were supposed to shoot April of last year,
Why? What
and
happened?
then I don't know. It just kind of fell apart for some reason.
It's probably
We were all
yeah.
yeah, we were all ready to shoot, and then I don't know, it just fell through. I guess that happens sometimes though. So yeah, and now that's basically me. I just can do a little bit of anything you need.
Hmm. Nice. What would you kind of identify as like first? Like what are your top three favorite things to focus on
Um,
in the filmmaking realm?
well, honestly, I've the last few projects I've worked on, I've been a DP. But I mean, most people, I want to do some more directing. I've directed a couple really dumb short films the past couple years.
Hmm.
Want to be getting back into doing more of that. I've got a couple things that I'm working on in that regard. But yeah, and editing too is probably it's probably the thing I do the most,
Hmm.
is editing.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, probably those three things.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
DP, direct, edit in
Yeah.
that order.
Well, I mean, not probably not in that order,
Yeah.
but those are top three.
Yeah. What would directing be kind of number one?
As far as ambition, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice. Cool. Do you write as well?
I do. Yeah. I haven't been writing as much this past year. It's just been hard to get that motivation to sit
Yeah.
down and write. I wish I was doing more of it, but yeah, like I said, like when I did the whole Second City thing, like I was writing that whole time. I was doing a lot of sketch comedy then
Hmm.
that I was writing with a friend of mine who moved off to California to be a writer. Uh, and we were writing together before he left. But yeah, I mean, I still want to do some more writing if I can ever get myself to sit down and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the challenge. I have a giant whiteboard on my wall. It's just
Yeah.
sticky whiteboard, and I just put it on my wall. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I have on there like find screenplay like competition that's like 1 to 3 months away, and
Mm-hmm.
use that as motivation to finish my goddamn
Yeah.
screenplay.
That's the thing. That's the thing. You need a deadline to get you to do it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you just keep putting it off.
yeah,
You need
exactly.
to be accountable to something.
Hmm. Yeah. So I was meaning to email the Chicago film group and be like, "Yo, who knows a good film festival that has like a screenplay competition that's in like 3 months or two
Yeah.
months or whatever." So I might do
Yeah.
that. What of your current or future or um, kind of like potential ideas for movies or shorts or TV shows are you most excited about? And if you're willing, would you want to tell us about it?
I've got one thing that it's not even much of an idea. I have a title that I've been like every time I like go on a walk, I'll be thinking about it. Like how can I turn this into something?
Hmm.
But I really want to write either a short or a feature titled "A Ghost Takes Guitar Lessons."
A ghost takes what?
It's guitar lessons.
Takes guitar lessons. Okay.
Yes, it's just a title I've had knocking around in my mind for so long,
Yeah.
and I've just been thinking about like how can I make that into something watchable. So that's one idea. No one steal it. I know it's an incredible idea.
I
So good.
Andrew, I have everyone that listens to this podcast sign an NDA. You are
Okay,
safe, my friend.
thank God, thank God, because that's gonna be a hot commodity.
Yeah. So is that a short or a feature or TV show?
Uh, it's either a short or a feature, depending on what it if what like if it what it actually ends up being, you know, because obviously it has to be more than just shots of a ghost taking guitar lessons.
What like
So
what what do you imagine kind of like the story being?
I've got a few ideas about like directions it can go. The idea that excites me the most about it, which makes it an even more alienating idea, is that the storyline of the ghost taking guitar lessons would be the least interesting part.
Mm,
Like, I'd want it to be just like a very boring, just, and this is a G chord, and this is a C chord. And if you put those together, you have the beginnings of a chord progression. And then everything else about the story outside of that would be what's actually interesting.
yeah.
Just the idea of a movie called A Ghost Takes Guitar Lessons, and that's the least interesting thing about it, is funny to me.
Yeah, I love that. What's that called? Like protect the freak in like improv?
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun, man. I don't know who your influences are, but my my imaginings of that idea were entrenched deeply in kind of like a Wes Anderson type world.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that's my own bias.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it might be fun to shoot it like that, but I guess I'm more my like favorite things are like the more absurdist kind of comedy stuff like that.
Hmm. Like like Christopher Guest or who?
Stuff like well, there's a movie that came out like a year or two ago called Greener Grass. Have you seen that?
No.
It's about it's basically it's kind of like a comedic version of like Stepford Wives meets like David Lynch meets
Mm.
like very silly absurd comedy. It's about like suburban life. Every character in the movie has braces. One of the families, their child turns into a golden retriever at one point.
Ah,
Yeah, it's just very over the top, very absurdist comedy.
yeah.
That's the kind of stuff. But like when I was watching it, it's like the kind of thing of like just a reminder of like, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like as long as it's fun to you,
Hmm.
you can make it come across to the audience. There's like no rules for like what you can and can't do here. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that movie was very inspiring to me when I saw
That's
it.
cool, man. I've never even heard of it. How'd you get turned on to it?
Um, I think the first time I heard of it was I think somebody I know sent me a trailer for it actually. And I watched it, and then do you ever listen to the Comedy Bang Bang podcast?
Hmm.
The writers and directors were guests on there when it was about to come out, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about this,
Hmm.
and they just made it sound so great. And when I finally saw it, it's on Hulu right now. When I
Nice.
finally saw it, I was like, yes, this is everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch that tonight probably. Um,
yeah.
so tell me, I'll just do like another question or two, and then we'll dive into this commentary. Like who are your biggest influences, and when did you know you wanted to be a filmmaker?
Well, as a young person, a very young boy, my it's changed, but the person who got me into wanting to pursue filmmaking was Tim Burton. I was one of those kids
Oh,
walking around Jack Skellington hoodie in
yeah.
high school. Yeah, that's what really turned me on to. Well, first it was actually a summer program that my mother made me do because she couldn't trust me to be at home alone all summer because I was a little terror.
Yeah.
And it was like a
She was a smart
different
woman.
it was yes, and it was like a each week of the program focused on a different thing. Like the first week we like built a computer, and
Mhm.
then the second week was just like teaching you how to use Windows Movie Maker, but like which is an awful software.
Oh yeah.
But d- doing that, it was like wow, this is really fun. I made a little claymation movie. I was like, this is so fun, and that's like from then on, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah, and I forgot what the rest of the question was.
Oh,
But those
biggest influences.
biggest influences. Well, now like stuff like Paul Thomas Anderson, uh, David Fincher, uh, and then like the classics, your Kurosawas and your Bergmans, Jacques Tati. I really love stuff like that.
What was the last name that you said?
Jacques Tati.
Oh, so
He
you
did
French filmmaker?
Yeah, he did. What's it called? Playtime. Do you know that movie, Playtime?
It sounds vaguely familiar. I have not seen it.
You gotta see it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a mime turned filmmaker. So it's a lot of just very funny, like physical stuff.
Hmm.
It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, there's very little dialogue in that movie.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
expect nothing less from a mime.
Yes. A meme,
A
if you will.
meme.
Yes.
Awesome, man. And I'll plug you right now, and I'll plug you at the end. But where can people find more about Andrew Baker?
Well, I do have a website that has some of the dumb short films I've made, as well as some of my corporate stuff. Just andrewrbaker.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. I've got a really bad Instagram handle that's very hard to. It takes a long time to type. It's the word horse 3 times, and there's a period between each one, and the middle horse, there's a period between each letter. It's very hard to describe. It's a bad Instagram handle, and I should
Dude,
change it.
how did you decide on that handle?
I don't know. I
Why
don't know.
unique?
Yeah, it's dumb. I really have to change it because whenever somebody asks me, because I like do like photography and stuff too, and whenever somebody comes up to me, it's like, "Hey, you on Instagram?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's yours?" It's too hard to
Deep
it's too
sigh.
hard to type mine. I gotta
Yeah.
get around to changing it at some point, but
Hell yeah. Horse, horse, horse
we'll
with
see.
a shitload of
Yes,
periods
yes,
on
yeah.
Instagram. Love it. We'll
Yeah.
tag those in the show notes as well. All right. Anything else you want to share before we dive into the commentary?
Oh well, I do also do a podcast of my own.
Ah,
I can plug
great.
that at the end.
Well, just tell me the name.
It's called Number One with a Bullet. Each week we find the number one song for the current week in a random year in history, and then we have a little chat about it. And it's a very good idea, very bad podcast, but
Hmm.
it's fun. It's actually I do it with my friend Dan, who's I mentioned earlier, who moved off to California to be a writer. It's just a way for us to keep working together on
Hmm.
opposite sides of the country.
Nice.
And if you're into film, we also do an Oscar segment every week, which is something that started as a bit because we accidentally talked about the Oscars 2 episodes in a row, and then we just kept talking about the Oscars as a bit of an inside joke, and then it just became part of the podcast, and to the point where last year we did an episode where we just recapped the Oscars and didn't talk about music at all. So it's another little alienating bit of fun for us that
Yeah.
if somebody who's like, oh, an episode about NSYNC, I've never heard of this podcast. In the first 20 minutes we talk about the movie Mr. Mom and call it our Oscar segment, just to really put people off and make sure they have no idea what they're actually listening to.
Smart.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah. Well, I love the premise of your podcast. That's
Yeah, it's a
super.
great premise.
Yeah.
Very good premise.
Yeah.
Execution, who knows? But the idea is very good. I
Heck
almost wish somebody better would have taken it.
Well, we got you, and that's good enough. Damn it.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, let's dive into this commentary. So normally we kind of just take turns sharing some sort of note that we want to talk about. So I'm gonna let you kick it off, my man. What's
All right.
interesting you want to talk about from the commentary?
Well, I think the most interesting thing to talk about is that this is a musical commentary with Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, and Adam McKay singing with musical accompanist John Bryan, who scored the movie. And for, I'd say the first half of the commentary, they're singing pretty much everything they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it is such a delight. Especially when half the time they're just describing what's happening on, especially at the beginning when they first start, they're just describing what's happening. And then every once in a while, McKay will like try to shoehorn in, and here's an actual piece of information about the making of the movie.
Yeah, which I really
we did this on green screen. Yeah, and then Riley and Farrell will just be like, oh yeah, totally, and then just keep going on with whatever bit they're doing.
Yeah.
It's so much fun though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, it's got to be the most unique commentary I've ever listened to, and I didn't even like read the explanation of it before I started playing it. I was like, why is there music playing? And then they're like, oh, John Bryan is scoring the commentary, and they were just coming up with these completely improvised songs that were like pretty good and hilarious.
Yeah. The one where they're talking about the first dinner scene and eating all the chicken nuggets, and John C. Reilly's rapping about how his tongue like swelled up from eating so much salty chicken nuggets. His raps are actually kind of hot in that song.
Yeah.
He talks about I know he talks about his.
Yeah. Go ahead.
He talks about how his tongue felt like kimchi after eating all that salt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forget what else, but he's got some bars there.
I think John C. Reilly is just he's just like a violent amount of talent.
Yeah, like, yeah, because the first part of his career was like all Oscar movies.
Yeah,
and he was nominated for Oscars, and then he's like, you know what, I'm a silly boy now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Walk Hard, I think, is one of the funniest movies of all time.
It's so funny. I just rewatched that last year. It's so funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get someone to do the commentary for that with me at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a good one. I haven't heard that one, but I'm sure they have a great time on there.
Yeah, I was I was surprised with like the musical commentary. I thought they were like joking about that, and they just kept doing it. And I was like, oh fuck! Like, is this whole thing just them like fucking around? And there's not going to be a single like tangible thing. But
sort of.
Even if it was that, like, it still would have been like super enjoyable.
Don't go into this hoping to learn a lot about the making of the movie.
But I feel like I did learn a lot because I don't think I've ever watched like a pure comedy commentary track.
Oh yeah.
And to hear kind of like the technical considerations and like I thought was really interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there was one moment where Adam McKay was like, I hate doing the like pulling a car behind a trailer or behind a truck. Yeah. He's like, I hate that. Like that's not fun. And that's why they used the green screen for the car scenes.
Yeah. Also because they also talked about how like you can't really let the actors improvise that much when they're actually driving a car. So because like, well, I mean, obviously safety reasons, and also just like you can only block off so many sections of road. So there's got to be like a definitive beginning and end to the shot. So like, so they did that on green screen, and then sang about how most of it still looks pretty shitty. Which was very funny to me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that is just like, you're right. Just you want when you're making a comedy, you want the set to be as fun as possible. So like anything that's gonna be a drag like that, just get rid of it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, uh, I don't want to take too much of the crazy shit that they talked about, but I was fascinated that they said they're like we would get like three good takes of the script as written, and
Hmm.
then just fuck around for hours or days
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
one scene. And they said they shot like most movies shoot 500,000 feet
Yeah.
of footage, and they shot 1.5 million. They shot three times. They shot three movies.
Yes. This is one of the biggest things that was like the most striking for me listening to this is just realizing this was made in a very different era of Hollywood
Which is crazy because it's
where
not that much long. That's not that long ago. 2008,
yeah
2007.
yeah but it's also important to remember that this came out the same year as Iron Man.
Yeah,
So
Dark Knight.
yeah, exactly. So like uh I looked up the budget for this movie. Do you know how much this movie cost?
I would guess probably like $80 million.
It was $65 million.
That's still insane.
I know, which just does not happen anymore. The
No.
mid-budget studio comedy is gone completely, and
Yeah.
and that was just like every time they talked about how they just like burned like miles of film on just all this stuff that was never gonna make it into the movie. That's like
Yeah.
all I could think about is like, there's no way you could do that now.
Yeah. Well, it's just like where the fuck did that money go? Like I could understand $5 million and maybe like another 10 to like pay everyone's salary. But like
Yeah.
where does $65 million go for a comedy?
Well, burning that much celluloid isn't cheap.
Yeah.
Uh, and then there were, they did crash a boat. They had helicopters. They blew up a ice sculpture. So there are
Yeah.
a few effects in
I think
there.
everything you just mentioned is less than like 200 grand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true.
I feel like they did a lot more cocaine or something in
Yeah,
2008.
yeah, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just shooting on film. Like, this movie, you could make this exact same movie so much cheaper today doing it digitally.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. What other insights you got?
Uh, and this is another thing that goes into the price. The prosthetic balls that Will Ferrell puts on John C. Reilly's drum kit, we found out cost $25,000.
Yeah. They sang a whole song about it.
That's the best part of the commentary for me. Is the song they sing about the guy slaving over these prosthetic balls and just like missing kids' graduations, the birth of their second child. I gotta get these balls right, and like going through all these like the montage that would accompany that song that they sang is so funny to me. Like this guy just keeps going back to the drawing board. It's not right yet.
Yeah.
The balls. They have to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, they also talked about like bringing the balls to like a party and then like
Yes.
handing them around, and
Yes.
I was like 2007, 2008, like that's a fine thing to do, but I feel like if they did that in 2021, like they might get canceled.
Yeah. I feel like Will Ferrell could get away with it, especially if they said it was at a dinner party at his house. I feel like
Hmm.
Will Ferrell's friends are they know what to expect when they're around him. You know that there might be some prosthetic balls coming out when you sit down to dinner.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always a possibility.
Um, cool. I want to share like three interesting things that they said. John C. Riley wondered if Brad Pitt enjoyed doing a commentary because he gets to look at himself. John C. Riley
Yes.
doesn't much enjoy looking at himself.
Yeah. He said he looks like I have to look at myself, and I look like Shrek.
Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, in dinner scenes, you shouldn't eat every scene because you'll get really full and really sick.
Mm-hmm.
They also mentioned that Robert Duvall wasn't that funny in Apocalypse Now.
It's true. They're not wrong. He wasn't that funny.
Yeah, but I mean, he was pretty funny, but he wasn't that funny.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that like during the parents talking scenes, they improvised completely different backstories for both Dale and Brendan, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly's characters.
Yeah.
Like, did this movie make you like want to see all of the alternate scenes? Like, how much do we have to pay to like see
I know
every take from this movie?
I know there's a ton of stuff on the DVD, alternate lines and stuff. I haven't watched that stuff in forever, but I know there's a lot of that stuff on there. But yeah, let's get all 1.5 million feet of film, an archive of it that we could just go through.
That would be heaven.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the drum set fight was based on one of John C. Reilly's childhood fights with his brother. And he mentioned that he probably needed to talk to his brother before the movie came out.
Yeah. Yeah, because so do we assume that John C. Reilly's brother put his balls on a drum set? Is that the assumption we have to make there?
I think so, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Seems plausible.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt so real when I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is so true to life. So specific that, like, it's those specifics that you can't make up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It just it sprung forth from real trauma.
Yes, from the depths of your very soul. Just rubbing your balls on a tom.
Hell yeah. What else you got?
Let's see. Oh, I actually found one other thing that cost money. Was when they talked about when they're in the treehouse and they're looking at porno magazines. They had used as they put in the commentary. I forget how they referred to it. Popular pornographic magazine. Yes, that we did not have the rights to. And I mean, we have to assume it was a Playboy. And then they had to go back and digitally alter all of the porn magazines because they couldn't get the rights to presumably Playboy.
Yeah. Playboy, you done fucked up. This movie's a classic. I've watched it 50 times.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would have been such a huge... There would have been people buying so much Playboy after seeing this.
People would be jerking off in time machines, left and right.
Yes. Yeah, and Hustler shows up at the end... And we all know what happened with Hustler after this movie came out. His stock soaring.
Oh, yeah.
Just probably. Yeah. Also, about a third of the way into the commentary, Baron Davis shows up.
Yeah. How did they coordinate? That was so random and hilarious. And he was great, I thought.
He was so funny. Yeah, I assume what happened was, because Baron Davis does some stuff outside of, especially, well, now he's a retired basketball star, but he does a lot of like entertainment things. Like he's tried to get a few I know he's had a couple pilots that I don't think have gone anywhere. So what I assume happened was he came into the offices of the studio where they were recording the commentary, and they saw him through the window, and then basically just said, "Get Baron Davis in here." And then he came in, and then he just hung out for a good, what was it, like 40 minutes or something?
I mean, it was at least a third of the commentary.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's so funny. He calls Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly adult Cabbage Patch Kids, which is very funny and very accurate.
Yeah, once you see that, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, exactly. And he also, when they start singing again, when they start doing another song, he starts doing his best Barry White, just sexy voice.
Yeah,
like,
he was really good at it.
Yeah, baby. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they were singing a song about making love to the city of Altadena, California. As you do.
Altadena.
Altadena. Yeah, baby. Want to wrap my arms around you, Altadena. Yeah. They rented the entire Rose Bowl just to make love to the city of Altadena.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yes, gorgeous.
Dude, they're just, they're so talented. I wish I could just listen to commentaries of their lives.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I wish, I mean, they, like, how did we get so unlucky that, like, the only two celebrities that didn't start podcasts during quarantine were Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly?
Right?
I would listen to every episode of that.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
I love Will Ferrell. I think he's one of the funniest people to ever live. But like John C. Reilly is like he's almost in a Bill Murray conversation for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as what?
Just like what he's contributed like to my life and to my artistic interests. Like he's just
okay.
Like who else is like him? Who can go from Magnolia to Dewey Cox? Like,
yeah,
I don't know if there's any precedent for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's because, I mean, I think that there is crossover between, like, I feel like if you can, a lot of great comedians can cross over into drama pretty easily, but I feel like it's not as easy the other way around. Mm-hmm. There's not as many great I mean, John Hamm's very funny.
Yeah.
But, like, the list of, like, great dramatic actors that can cross over and be great comedic performers is not... And even John Hamm, like, he's very fun. He can be very funny in comedy. And when he's done, like, SNL and stuff, he's been great. But it's a very different thing than what John C. Reilly can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Like, John C. Reilly, John Hamm, I feel like the reason he's funny is because he's playing off the expectation of, like Don Draper. Whereas John C. Reilly, like, he's not doing a funny version of, like, the sad cop from Magnolia. Like, he's creating a completely organic character in Dewey Cox, in Dale.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, it feels like when he, like, Talladega Nights was, like, one of the first comedies he did, right?
I can't think of any he did before that.
Yeah, because it felt like that was, like, kind of the coming out party for John C. Reilly, the comedic actor. And those kinds of movies, it's just, it feels like he's getting, like, just so much out, like... Because he's so loud, he's so big, there's a lot of yelling, a lot of violence in those. It feels like he's just like letting off steam in those kinds of roles.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think you're right. It must be a tremendous release to go from just an insanely heavy dramatic role where like
Hmm.
you literally like if you're method like you can't smile for like weeks or months and
Hmm.
then just go do something completely just like silly as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it must be. Yeah, it's just such a huge release from
Hmm.
going from working with like Scorsese and to just being like, oh, I can just yell profanities, and you're gonna give me like 40 takes to just see
Yeah,
what the funniest thing I can come up with is.
I can yell Leonard Nimoy's penis. The clown has
I'm
no penis.
I'm going to stab you in the neck with a knife. One of the best lines.
I think that Adam McKay and Will Ferrell they're kind of good at this because I think another of the funniest movies of all time is The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg
Mm-hmm.
and they they must kind of like see something funny in a John C. Reilly in a Mark Wahlberg where they're like I could put this guy in a comedy and he would crush it.
Yeah. Uh, I also think the other guys is like kind of what we were talking about before about how like this was kind of like the beginning of the end for the mid-budget studio comedy.
Hmm.
The only time you see something like a comedy of this scale get made anymore is if it is an action comedy like the other
Hmm.
guys,
Yeah.
because there's and like that's the only way you're getting any kind of a budget to make a comedy anymore. And it's like I feel like I like the other guys, but I feel like it kind of ruined mainstream comedy movies for a while because like every single movie that comes out that's a comedy that has a budget is like they're just a normal person, but look, they're caught up in this weird criminal syndicate by total luck of the draw, and isn't that funny? It's like it was like 10 years
Yeah.
ago, but now that we're like that, what's that Netflix movie that came out last year with Kumail and Issa Rae?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
like I forget the name of it,
it was
but
bad.
yeah, I did, but I was like, oh, I like both of them.
Yeah.
I'll watch this. And the beginning, like, I didn't know anything about it going in. And the beginning of the movie, I'm like, oh, they got great chemistry. There's a couple good jokes here. And then, like, all of a sudden, what happens? They, like, hit somebody with their car. And then you see it shift. I'm like, oh, no. It's another action comedy. And then it was. I'm like, oh, my. Why are we still doing this? Is anybody still
Yeah.
enjoying this?
Yeah. No, like Kamal was in another seemingly same premise.
Stuber?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. With Batista.
with Batista. And
Yeah,
I was like, are these the same movie?
probably. I mean, no, but I don't get it. And I mean, it's just that classic thing of like studio execs just having no idea what people want and like
Mhm.
only greenlighting things that like nobody's clamoring for more action comedies. We're done with that.
Yeah.
We have the other guys. We don't need any more.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the funniest movie I saw in theaters. And it was one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. It was called The Art of Self-Defense with Jesse
Yeah,
Eisenberg.
I saw that. Yeah, I really like that movie.
That's yeah, I was actually gonna mention that to you because it's super absurdist.
Yeah,
So I'm not surprised you saw it and liked it as well. Like that movie was fucking hilarious.
yeah.
I guess you just have to make it super low budget and super
Hmm.
weird as
Yeah,
fuck.
that's the
Like,
only because the only things that get made now are super low budget indie movies and tentpole movies. Your
mhm,
big budgets, your Marvels, your Star Warses, your Fasts
mhm.
and Furiouses.
Fast
your
and
John's
Furious.
Wick. Yes. IP stuff. Those are the only, and then maybe once or twice a year you'll get something that's in the middle there, mid-budget movie, and it's like there's still a place for that. I mean, it doesn't have to be on one end of the spectrum or the other.
Yeah. So what, I mean, I haven't seen a Will Ferrell movie, I think, since the other guys. Like, I tried to watch Get Hard and I turned it off. I was like, this is fucking trash.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Because Adam McKay, like, he does, Vice and Big Short. I thought were like close to masterpieces. They were so fucking good.
Yeah, I still like Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell is like been a huge part of my life. Like I've been following him since SNL.
Yeah.
I was very sad when he the first thing he did, or actually it was right before he left SNL, was Old School. And I was very sad because I wasn't allowed to see R-rated movies at the time. I was too young. So I was like, oh no, he's going to leave SNL. I'm never going to be able to see him again because he's going to be in all these R-rated movies. So yeah, I've grown up. So I still try to watch pretty much everything that he does. I'm trying to remember, like, I know he did that Holmes and Watson. I haven't seen that. What else has he done?
Apparently that was like the worst movie of all time. I didn't even see it.
People say that. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I think McKay or Adam McKay is like such a huge part of Will Ferrell's success. I think their collaboration is like really.
Yeah, he did do that Eurovision movie last year that I thought was okay. There's some funny parts to that. Did you see that?
No. What was it called? Eurovision?
Yeah, you know about the Eurovision Song Contest?
No.
Oh, it's so in Europe there's it's basically they have this thing called the Eurovision Song Contest. It's basically like the Olympics of pop music, and like each country in Europe sends a representative. This is our song for the Eurovision Song Contest, and they're just like these big glitzy pop songs that are performed in like these big over the top costumes and stuff, and it's a huge thing over there. And he made a movie in that world where he's him and what's her name, I forget the name of the actress, but him and somebody else, they're a duo from Iceland that enter the Eurovision Song Contest. And there's some great moments in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the last like great what was your favorite Will Ferrell comedy? The most recent favorite Will Ferrell comedy that you've seen?
Most recent. I'm trying to even remember. I know he did
5 years ago. Just what's the last thing you saw that you liked?
Yeah. I know he did that. I like it when he does like weird stuff, like when he did Casa de Mi Padre.
Oh, I loved that.
Yeah,
that was Adam McKay as well.
I think so. Oh, Anchorman 2 was not bad.
Yeah, I genuinely enjoyed that.
Yeah, I have to look it up now because I'm like, what else has he even been in? I'm having trouble even remembering.
Yeah.
He was in Downhill. I didn't like that very much. He was in the Between Two Ferns movie. That was a good movie. I don't need talk show appearances on IMDb. Holmes and Watson. Daddy's Home 2.
Oh, those were so fucking awful.
Yeah. The House wasn't bad. Well, it wasn't terrible. That was the one where they turned their house into a casino.
Yeah, no, I did not catch that.
Yeah, and then it's like Get Hard, and then nothing really until, I mean, he was in like the Lego Movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like nothing really until Anchorman 2, which was all the way back in 2013.
Oh,
And
I loved Anchorman too. I really enjoyed the campaign. I think that's an underrated
yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
And
I
then
like that too. I
Adam
haven't seen
McKay
him
as
forever,
well. Yeah. Did
but
you watch Eastbound and Down where he was Ashley Schaefer?
I did. I
That
watched the first season.
that is maybe his funniest role.
He's really funny in that.
Ashley Schaefer from the island nation of Korea.
Yeah, he's just so good at just weird dudes that you can tell are like based off of weird dudes he's run into, and
Hmm.
then just like incorporating just the strangest specifics into it. Like
Yeah,
that's he's so good at that.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna uh, count off some quick facts
Cool.
about this. During the scenes where they were sleepwalking, Adam McKay told Will to throw like water glasses actually through the windows that weren't meant to break, and
Yes.
it super freaked out all of the props people and set
Yes.
designers.
They got very upset with them.
And he said the best way to quickly show that someone is a complete dick is to have them wear a Bluetooth headset and task
Yes.
manage their children.
Task manage their children their a cappella singing performance,
Yeah, I was
which
like, that's fucking brilliant.
that's like one of the best scenes in the movie when they're doing the "Sweet Child of Mine" a cappella in the car,
Yeah,
and he's like, it starts off with him being like, "Okay, let's nail it this time," so you can tell that they've like done this a few
one,
times in a row,
two, three.
and Catherine Hahn is just like not into it
It's
at
flat.
all. She's
It's
just
flat. It's
staring.
terrible. It's terrible.
She's just no reaction at all. Catherine Hunt's so good in this movie. She's amazing.
Yeah, I think she's one of the funniest people alive.
She really is. She's so funny.
Is it true you struck Derek? I hate my life.
And when she pees in the urinal,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
Oh, they mentioned that Dale like called her something, like called her mom or something. I didn't write it
Oh,
down, but it was really funny. Um,
I don't remember.
yeah, he completely improvised that, and it was hilarious. The original draft of this screenplay was 180 pages long.
Insane. You gotta cut some. You gotta cut a lot of pages out of that. That's
Where the
that's way
fuck,
too long.
dude? I want to read all 180 pages of that. Where do I get this?
I mean, so do I, but you can't turn that into a studio and be like, "Here's our next comedy."
Yeah, and they talked about coming up with the idea for Step Brothers. They had I think 10 ideas that they were
Mm-hmm.
wanting to get John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell together for, and they
Yeah.
didn't use any of the ideas. And the entire idea for Step Brothers came from bunk beds.
Yeah. Yeah. And McKay just decided, oh, we got to get these two in bunk beds. You guys are
Yeah.
stepbrothers. Yeah, and it was also coming off of Talladega Nights, wanting to do something with the two of them again, but
Hmm.
being like, we spent this Talladega Nights was so hard because we had all these cars, the races,
Hmm.
and cars crashing and all this. It's like, let's just do something simple. A nice, simple $65 million comedy.
Shooting 1.5 million feet of film.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I love that. They shot 5 different versions of Will wiping his ass with different objects.
Yes. Yeah, when he's off living on his own in his little starter apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a funny bit.
And the wine mixer had to be a Catalina because they were making fun of Catalina.
Yes, yes. Will Ferrell mentioned it when they talked about doing a wine mixer. He says, "Oh, it should be in Catalina," and because he's from California, John C. Reilly and McKay are not, and so they're like, "Oh, okay, sounds nice." And then it turns out Catalina's not nice at all. The way they describe it, it sounds like it's basically the Jersey Shore of California.
Yeah,
And it's just it's a Catalina. It sounds so nice, but apparently it's just not. It's a real trashy place. And they didn't shoot there, but you can see the island of Catalina in the background in most of the shots.
yeah,
They're like, we're not even gonna try to hide it. We're just gonna Catalina wine mixer, and you can see Catalina way off in the distance on the horizon.
yeah, yeah. I love that, and
Yeah.
it's funny. Like, in normal movies, I'd be like, oh God, you can't even like pretend you're on Catalina. Like, I can see Catalina Island in the background,
Yeah,
but like,
just flaunting it.
yeah, but a comedy like this that is so good at
Yeah,
just like random hilarious comedy.
yeah.
You're like, how
I
does
mean,
that
that's
doesn't bother me at all?
yeah, that's one of those things that like that I was talking about with Will Ferrell. Like he's so good at just weird specifics. It
Hmm.
has to be the Catalina wine mixer, and it's like
Yeah,
most people aren't going to get the joke, but it's still funny just to have that montage of people going, "The fucking Catalina wine mixer," just one after another. It's so funny.
yeah,
And especially, and even when they
fucking
first start talking about it, it's like, I want the Catalina wine mixer. It's like, you want to take on the Catalina wine mixer. And it's just so funny. It's because it's so weirdly specific.
yeah.
This is
Well,
the
I
biggest
remember,
helicopter leasing event since
yeah,
1997.
I gotta sell 30 choppers to get my nut. I remember, because I initially moved to Chicago as well to like do improv and sketch. And one of my favorite teachers at the Annoyance, Messing, Susan Messing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
she said something that's just like just rocked my comedic persuasion forever. She was like, the comedy is in the specificity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck. That's,
Yeah.
you
It,
can't unsee that. You're like, that's why Will Ferrell's so funny, because it's the Catalina wine mixer, not just like the, summer wine mixer.
Yeah, it's instead of hey, give me a drink, it's hey, give me a Zima or something like that.
Hmm.
It's just so much fun. The more specific you can get, the
Yeah.
funnier it is.
Yeah. Well, Will Ferrell has that kind of like weird dad energy,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it just works so well.
yeah. Especially in this when he's playing like essentially an infant. He's essentially
Yeah.
playing like a 13-year-old, but with all of his dad energy.
Yeah. You don't have to call me Mister. He's like, okay, okay, Dobek.
The fact that this grown man doesn't know what to call his new stepfather. And when they're in the car, he's like, I'm not going to call him dad. And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't expect you to. You're a grown man. He's like, well, I'm not gonna. Ever.
Even if there was a fire.
Even if there was a fire. That's so funny.
Oh, that was great. That I don't know if they were joking about this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was true. Adam McKay only likes to shoot with one lens.
Yeah, I started watching for that, and he says that like right towards the end of the at the Catalina wine mixer,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about it. And I was like, yeah, most of this is shot on pretty wide lenses, but I think like in that montage where Will Ferrell's singing, there's a couple close-ups that look like they're probably on a closer lens, but I can't say for sure because I don't know, not smart enough.
Yeah. Quick DP question for you. What lens do you think lends itself the best for comedies?
Well, it's interesting because one of my biggest problems with comedies, especially the last like 15, 20 years, is that they all, for the most part, they all look bad. Like, because I think because they're allowing for so much improvisation, they're just setting up these really bland wide shots so they can get the coverage of everything and let the actors just go.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you see a lot of wider, like 24 millimeter lenses and stuff, but it lends to a lot of like just boring shots. And I feel like I feel like it doesn't have to be one or the other. I feel like you can still have cool artistic shots and make great comedy. But not many people are doing that.
I remember I was listening to a Scorsese commentary. I forget which movie, but he's like amazingly generous with his commentaries.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how Akira Kurosawa, for like improvised scenes, he'd set up like two cameras, like reverse shot, and then he'd just have them like on like a electric track, or like somebody would be moving them in and out, so it would still look interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's classic. I mean, that's Kurosawa's whole thing is movement, like both of the camera and within the frame. So yeah, I mean, there's so many things you can do to allow for improvisation, but I feel like it's like I see some comedies, and it's like, how did this person even get a job? Like, I watched that movie. I think it's like Owen Wilson and like Ed Helms trying to figure out who their dad is. I forget the name of the movie. And it's like this, like, it's annoying to me when it's like somebody who has like no artistic vision whatsoever. It's like, and not everything has to be like, you know, Scorsese, Wes Anderson, but it's like, have an idea or two at least.
Yeah, say something with your camera framing and movement and angle.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be all, you know, it doesn't have to be like all these deep metaphors and stuff, but it's just have one idea is all I ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to see a lot more, a bit more artistry brought into comedy movies.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, and then my last note that I have is Adam talks about getting laughs for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
He talks about it in the context of the last scene of the Catalina wine mixer, where him and Adam Scott character, his character, they're like making up, and they shot it at like golden hours, so they set up like 4 cameras or something so that they could get it fast before they lost the light. And in Will Ferrell's close up, there was a golf course in the background, so right over his shoulder there was an enormous American flag just waving at sunset while he's like you know, doing this quote unquote emotional scene, like the most emotional scene in Step Brothers, which is, you know, not very emotional, but the makeup scene. And when they did test screenings of it, everybody laughed because that's very funny. There's just this huge American flag waving over his shoulder, but they didn't know if they were laughing for the right reasons. Which I would argue that's really funny. You should just left it in. I like that so much.
Yeah. I want to watch a version of Step Brothers that just it like shuffles the scenes every time I watch it.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
I want that.
yeah, they did that for Anchorman. They did that that second movie that was made out of just the stuff they cut out of the original Anchorman movie. It's called like Wake Up Ron Burgundy or something. It's like a whole other movie just made out of it's they just made it out of all the stuff they cut out of the original Anchorman movie. It came out like 2 years later maybe. Yeah. I don't remember much of anything about it. For a long time it was on YouTube. But there was also a DVD of it that you could buy. That's all I remember about it.
Nice.
My last note is so we talked about how this is a musical commentary. They really come in hot on this with they're doing these long songs. Like the Altadena song is, I want to say 9 minutes long. Just them singing about making love to the city of Altadena. And that's kind of the turning point in the commentary where they kind of run out of steam. Well, not kind of run out of steam. They straight up admit, we're running out of steam here.
100%. Yeah, they start eating.
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about. They get food and they start talking about, I got a chicken wrap with Italian dressing on it, and John C. Reilly starts describing what he gets, and then Will Ferrell says the funniest thing to me, which is just, this is a great exchange. Them just talking about their food. This is a great exchange. I just want to start saying that just in life. This is a great exchange that we're having right now. This podcast that we're doing, it's a great exchange. It's a great dialogue.
Great exchange. I agree. Thanks for calling that out.
Yeah, so that's something I'm going to be incorporating into my life. Just calling out great exchanges.
Yeah, I think that's a really worthy pursuit, Andrew.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially
when it's something very boring like talking about lunch.
Yeah. That I did love like the last 3 songs that Adam tried to start, like neither Will nor John remotely attempted to jump in.
Yeah, he would start singing a song and then be like, oh man, look at that fall that I just did. That's great. And then McKay would just be like, okay, just not gonna engage with this at all. And then it'll just like, and that's when they started saying, I think we ran out of steam here. Which I don't blame them, because they really came in hot at the beginning of the commentary.
Yeah.
They were swinging for the fences.
Yeah, that's hard to maintain. And they have, John Bryan doing the commentary, and then Baron Davis comes in. So,
they had a
lot.
They had a big day. It was probably about time for their nap.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, any more notes or thoughts? On the movie?
We did, despite this being such a different format for an audio commentary, we did still get the classic, the cliche of all audio commentaries. This is the first thing we shot.
Oh, every fucking commentary.
Every time. Oh, this is the first thing we shot. And it was the first thing they shot was the breakup scene of the movie where John C. Reilly tells Will Ferrell, we're not stepbrothers anymore. That kicks off the third act of the movie. And that's that. I'm glad that they still snuck that in there.
Yeah, you're so right. I never realized that that's such a...
This is the first thing we shot, and they were so great. Those the two cliches of
Yeah,
film commentaries. Oh shit, they were so great. The nicest person.
that's a great insight there, Andrew.
And they did do a twist on the oh she's so great when they talked about Mary Steenburgen and
Yeah,
talking about how she's always smoking and she's so vulgar, always wearing leather pants. Kind of did a twist on the old oh she's so great.
yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you think this DVD commentary is going to make you a better filmmaker?
I mean, I think it's just that we kind of touched on it earlier. The reminder of just just you gotta have fun out there. You can tell that these guys were having so much fun, and it's infectious sometimes. Like you can, I feel like you can usually tell when people were having a ton of fun on set when you're watching a movie.
Hmm.
Uh, and so as long as you make the most out of it, I feel like that energy will come through in the final product. That
Hmm.
chemistry, that joy, the fun, especially for a comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I
Somebody
just
told me. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
you go ahead.
I was gonna say, my friend John Silver in a previous DVD, in a previous commentary, he said that comedies are the only genre where the actors have to like each other.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of comedy you're doing. I feel like there's certain kinds of comedy that could be enhanced, but like if you think of like Siskel and Ebert, not a comedy duo, but two very funny guys
That would be a
who
great premise
famous
for their next movie, though.
yeah, they hated each other and they just threw like the most hilarious just eviscerating insults back and forth and it was so funny.
Yeah.
So I feel like there are times when it can work, but I feel like maybe only if you're doing mean comedy, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for doing this with me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you
This was so
really
fun.
opened my eyes to some
Yeah.
hilarious DVD commentary cliches.
Yeah. 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 In a commentary that avoids most of them
Yeah.
by having its own score and an NBA player popping in for the
Professional
middle
basketball
40
player.
minutes. Yeah.
Loved it. Awesome,
Yeah.
man.
So much fun.
Where can people find out more about Andrew Baker?
Well, obviously, horse on Instagram.
Hmm.
Number one with a bullet podcast, wherever you find your podcasts. And yeah, my website, which is mostly just for trying to get hired. But if you want to check it out, it's there, andrewrbaker.com. Uh, you can find my resume and stuff if that's what you're interested in.
Awesome, man. Hell yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really was. Thank you.